Hello students, today we are going to learn the figures of speech. There are near about 25 figures of speech in English. We are going to see one by one. The language of the poem becomes very different only because of the figures of speech. The figures of speech make the language figurative, and because of that we are having that kind of figures of speech interesting in the poems. So we are going to see one by one the figures of speech in English. The first figure of speech we are going to see here, that is simile. Simile is the figure of speech that is a comparison made between two objects of different kinds which have however at least one point common. Means two objects are compared there and one quality or one point is common between those two objects, and because of that they are compared. That is called simile. Simile is always shown by as or like. So we are going to see the examples of simile here. Her tears fell like rain. Here tears and rain are compared, and like is showing the comparison between these two. So it is a simile. In the second example, he is as patient as a sheep. Here sheep and he is compared, and the common quality that is being patient is shown in this example, and here as is used to show the comparison. In the third example, you look like a ghost. Here you and ghost are compared, and this comparison is shown by like. Then Suresh is as strong as a lion. Here lion and Suresh are compared, and they are having the common quality of being strong, and this comparison is shown by as as. So here also you will find that simile is there. Then the last example, that is the words like leaves. Words are like leaves. Here words and leaves are compared, and this comparison is shown by like. So in every example you find that as or like is used there, and without like and as no comparison is shown. So it is very easy to find out the comparison between the two things with the help of like or as. And when like or as you see in the poem or in the line, at that time you have to identify it as a simile there. So this is what simile is there. Then the next figure of speech we are going to see here, that is metaphor. Now, here the comparison is not introduced by add or like. Instead of resemblance, we have identification. Means in the simile, as or like were used there. But now here as or like are not used there. Here the similar things are compared, and these things are compared at that time they are introduced or their identity is revealed directly. At that time it is called metaphor. Now here metaphor is shown in this example. The camel is the sheep of the desert. Here camel and sheep are compared. Camel is directly said to be the sheep of the desert. So here the comparison is shown there between camel and sheep, but without as or like. At that time it is called metaphor. Then the second thing is there, life is a dream. Here life and dream are compared. Life is directly called as a dream. So here also like or as is not used there. It is also called a metaphor. Then the third example, the news was a dagger to his heart. The news and the dagger, these two things are compared there. And you will find that Here as or like is not used there. Instead of comparing with as or like, the news is directly called as a dagger. At that time, it is called a metaphor. Then next example is there. He is just a poor fish. Here, he and poor fish are compared there. Now here, as or like is not used there. In the simile, we have taken the example and there like was used. But here, now like is not used there. At that time, uh, it is a metaphor. And the last example, the shop is the real gold mine. Here, shop and the gold mine, they are compared. The shop is directly called as a gold mine. So, in these examples, you will find that one thing is compared with others, but here not as or like is used there. Instead of that, direct identification is there. Then it is called as metaphor. So here the comparison is not introduced by as or like. Instead of resemblance, we have direct identification. This is what we have learned about metaphor. Then next figure of speech we are going to see here, personification. What is personification? This is a form of metaphorical speech in which inanimate or abstract things and ideas are treated as if they were human persons. Means indirectly, here the inanimate thing, non-living things or abstract things means those which we cannot see with our eyes. Such kind of ideas or such kind of things are compared there. They are given the human qualities there and they are treated as if they were human persons. Means indirectly you will find that these non-living or abstract things are treated or given the human quality. At that time it is called personification. It's better to learn from the examples how what is personification. Love is blind. Just we can say that man is blind because man has that kind of quality of blindness. But here love is blind means love is given the human quality of being blind. At that time it is called personification. Then the second example, death laid his icy hands on kings. Here death is abstract or that kind of inanimate things. We cannot see that with our eyes, we cannot touch it, or we cannot pursue by our senses. But here, death lays icy hands means the poet compares that the death has the hands, and because of that, death is going to lay the hands on the people, on the kings. Means here, death is given the human quality of having hands. Only man can have the hand, like here, death is having the hands. So this is also personification. Then we are going to see that the winds are whispering. Here, winds are whispering. Whisper is the quality of the man, human being. Just when you are talking to your friends something secret, at that time you whisper in the ears of others. Like this here, all winds are whispering. Are winds having the mouth to whisper? It is the question. But here the poet imagines that winds have mouth and because of that they are whispering. Means this is the human quality of whispering is given to the winds. At that time it is called personification. Then the next, the hills rejoice and clap their hands. Here hills rejoice. Hills are given the human quality of rejoicing and clapping their hands. Means hills are imagined as having hands and they are clapping like the man. So here also human quality of rejoicing and clapping is given to the hills. It is called personification. Then the last example of personification is there, laughter holding both her hands. Laughter is abstract thing. How can laughter hold both of her sides? It is impossible. But the poet gives the just the person can hold a person on both sides. Like this, laughter is given the human quality of holding both her sides. Means indirectly, laughter is having the hands to hold both her sides. Indirectly, it is the human quality given to the laughter. So it is called personification. So, this is a form of metaphorical speech in which inanimate or abstract things and ideas are treated as if they were human persons. So, this is what personification is there. Then we are going to see the next figure of speech, that is apostrophe. Apostrophe is a direct address to the dead, to the absent, or to a personified object or idea. Now here dead person is directly called, or to the absent person the speaker is directly talking there, or the personified object or idea the person is talking there. At that time it is called apostrophe. Now here you will find that many people are dead in the past, but we are addressing them. Here the example is that Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour. Milton was the great poet and he was living in that old age, but now he is dead and we are addressing directly to the Milton. At that time it is called apostrophe. Another example, oh death, where is thy sting? Here death, can we see death? Can we talk to death? Can we address death? But here the poet is directly addressing to the death. Oh death, where is thy sting? Means here death is directly addressed there. After things is directly addressed there. At that time it is called apostrophe. Another example of apostrophe is there. Oh liberty, what crimes have been made in thy name? O liberty, what crimes have been made in thy name? Now here liberty means freedom, but freedom is abstract thing or that kind of non-living thing is there, and the poet is directly addressing to the liberty. At that time, it is also called apostrophe. Then the last example of apostrophe is there. Roll on thou deep and dark blue ocean, roll. Now the poet is addressing to the ocean, that is the she. Means she can hear it, he can listen it, or he can follow the orders of the man. But here the poet is imagining that they are the human persons and the poet is directly addressing to them. At that time it is called an apostrophe. So we have seen the examples of apostrophe like this. An apostrophe is the direct address to the dead, to the absent, or to a personified object or idea. Then the next figure of speech we are going to see here, hyperbole, exaggeration, or overstatement. These are the alternate names given to the same figure of speech. They are not different. The same concept is there behind them. So we are going to see one by one. This is the use of overstatement for the sake of effect. Means here, this is the use of the overstatement for the sake of effect. Overstatement means whatever the normal level is there, and we are going higher than that, and we are talking about that person, that thing, in that manner. At that time, it is called hyperbole, exaggeration, or overstatement. Now, with the examples of this, I have heard that joke hundreds of times. I have heard that joke hundreds of times. Means here hundreds of times. Can the speaker tell the joke hundreds of times? No. He may have told the joke two or three times, but two or three times is converted into hundreds of times. At that time, it is exaggerated, it is overstated, and because of that, this figure of speech is called hyperbole, exaggeration, or overstatement. Another example, I thought that I would die of laughing. Can anyone die of laughing? Means in such a large quantity or amount he laughed. He is telling that he would die of laughing. Here also dying because of laughing is not possible. But the poet has exaggerated the point or overstated the point, and because of that, it may be called either exaggeration, hyperbole, or overstatement. Another example is there. She wept oceans of tears. The tears that roll down from our cheeks. How can they become oceans? Or is it as much as the ocean's water is there? But the poet has imagined like this, and because of that, she wept oceans of tears. Means so profusely she wept that such a large quantity of tears fell there, and the poet is indicating this with the help of that. The idea is orchestrated there. It is called hyperbole, exaggeration, or overstatement. It's so cold, and we are absolutely frozen. Here it's so cold, and we are absolutely frozen. Means the cold or winter season may be there, and at that time anybody may be having that kind of chill, or he feels the chill in such a quantity that he is forced to say the sentence like this. It is so cold and we are absolutely frozen. Actually, if we are frozen, we cannot be alive there. But the poet wants to say like this. Frozen is the word used there to show the overstatement, exaggeration, or hyperbole. So in this line also we will find that hyperbole is there. Then the last example, all the perfumes of the Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Here, perfumes means indirectly scents, and the Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. How can it be possible? Even the few drops of the perfume can sweeten or can make our hand sweet. Here the speaker is saying like this. How is it possible that all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten these little hands? So bottles of perfumes are there, or cans of perfumes are there, and they are not going to sweeten this little hand. How it is possible? Our hand is so little, and all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. How it is not possible? So the poet is exaggerating the point, or he want to say in his own statement like this. Because of that, in this figure also, you will find that hyperbole, exaggeration, or overstatement is there. So overstatement, hyperbole, or exaggeration is such kind of thing. This is the use of overstatement for the sake of effect. Why does the poet using the hyperbole here? To make the effect on the readers, such kind of figure of speech is used there. Then the next figure of speech we are going to see here, understatement. Understatement, there are two kinds, main kinds of understatement there. The first kind of understatement is called euphemism. This is when we try to soften the unpleasant thing. Soften the unpleasant thing means make the severity less and less, or to make it soft. We are going to share unpleasant things are there, sorrowful things are there, and bad things are there, and we are going to talk about that in a soft way. At that time, euphemism is used there. Now here the examples of euphemism are there. My husband fell asleep last week. Here you will find that the woman is saying like this, my husband fell asleep last week. How can a man continuously sleep for the whole week? It is not possible. Means indirectly the woman wants to say that her husband died last week, but instead of die, she uses the word tell asleep. Such kind of words are used to soften the unpleasant thing. At that time, it is called euphemism. In the second example, sometimes I think you are a stranger to the truth. Here also you will find that the speaker is saying to the another person that you are stranger to the truth, means you don't know the truth, or you don't know how to speak the truth, means indirectly the speaker wants to say that you are a liar, but he is directly not saying it. Instead of that, he is using the word you are stranger to the truth. At that time, it is also called euphemism. So this is when we try to soften the unpleasant thing. Euphemism is also used there. Then the second part of the understatement is there. Second type of the understatement is there. Litotes. It is used intentionally to give greater positive emphasis to the idea. Means that in mathematics minus plus minus is equal to plus. Like this here also, not becomes yes, no becomes yes. Like this here, the examples are there. Not bad. When the speaker wants to say not bad, the little touch he is using there means what he means, or what he want to say there, to give the greater positive emphasis to the idea, and because of that he is saying that very good. Another example is there, not common, uncommon. Not uncommon means very common, but negative things are shown there or used there to show the positive. Not a few. Not a few means indirectly you want to say that many are there. Not a little means much is there. He is no coward. Here, no coward is the negative sentence used, but the positive meaning is there of this sentence. He is very brave. So, negative things are used there, and positive emphasis is given to the idea. At that time, it is called litotes. So, understatement has two main kinds of main kinds are there. That is firstly euphemism and secondly litotes. Euphemism when we try to soften the unpleasant thing, and litotes is to give the greater positive emphasis to the idea. So this is what the understatement is there. Then the next figure of speech we are going to see here, that is antithesis. In antithesis you will find that this is the opposite of metaphor. In metaphor, we compare two things that is having the same quality. But here the opposite things are there, opposite metaphor is there. By balancing two opposing words or ideas against each other, a vivid sense of contrast and difference is obtained. Means indirectly you will find that opposing words or ideas are used there, and the ideas or the thoughts are there in this sentence, in these lines, they are having the balance there. At that time, it is called antithesis. Here, the example of antithesis is there. Speech is silver, silence is golden. Speech is silver. When we talk of speech is silver, at that time we try to keep silence. Whenever when we go on talking and talking like this thing will be there. But when the next part of the sentence or the line tells that silence is golden, then we keep mum or we keep silent there. So speech is silver and silence is golden. Speech and silence, these opposite ideas are balanced in this line. At that time, it is called antithesis or contrast. In the second part of that, second example is there, to err is human, to forgive is divine. To err means to commit mistake, and to forgive means when you have done something wrong, at that time someone is going to forgive you. This kind of two things are compared there, to err and forgive. So to err is human and to forgive is divine. The first part of the sentence is quite opposite to the second part of the sentence here we come to know. Then the third, he was a good husband but a bad father. Now here this sentence is about the same man or the same husband. He was a good husband but a bad father. Means here whatever the opinion we have formed about that person in the first part of the sentence, that opinion is going to be collapse or vanish because of the next part of the sentence. Means here good and bad, these two opposite words are coming there and balancing the ideas. At that time it is called antithesis. Then the next example is there, well begun is half done. Here you will find that begun and done, these opposite words are coming there and they are balancing the line. At that time it is called antithesis or contrast. So these are the examples of antithesis or contrast we have seen there. Then antithesis, this is the opposite of the metaphor. By balancing two opposing words or ideas against each other, a vivid change of contrast and difference is obtained there. It is called antithesis. Indirectly, there are opposite words coming in the examples here. In the first example, speech and silence. In the second example, to err and to forgive. In the third example, good and bad. And in the last example, begun and done. So these opposite ideas are balanced in the line. At that time, it is called antithesis or contrast. Then the next figure of which we are going to see here, that is paradox. This is also a form of contrast. The presentation of a truth in a form apparently self-contradictory and absurd. Means here the presentation of truth is there. Means truth is shown in this line and you will find that apparently self-contradictory and absurd. Means humorous line is there, laughable line is there, and self-contradictory means it is opposite of the oneself or opposite of itself. The same thing is expressed there. At that time, it is called paradox. So contradictory and absurd things are shown there. At that time, it is called paradox. We are going to see the paradox example here. Only the man who has known fear can be truly brave. Now it is a laughable thing that the man who has known fear cannot be brave. But here the man who has known fear is truly brave. It is said there in this sentence. How it is possible? But when we have taken the apparent meaning, it is different. But when we go deeply, it has the different meaning. Such kind of opposite ideas are shown here, fear and brave, but self-contradictory. That is the opposite of the previous part. The second part is there. At that time, it is called paradox. Another sentence is there. We must die in order to live. Now, dying and living, these two opposite ideas are there. We must die in order to live. Means indirectly, when we try to get the meaning, we laugh at the sentence, but indirectly, the deeper meaning is also there. We must die in order to live. Means here, die and live are the opposite words, and when we die, then we have the value to our life. Without that, there is no value to life. And because of that, the poet has used this kind of things here, die and live, such kind of paradox is there. Then the when all speak, none hear. When all people are speaking there, nobody is there to hear. So here, speak and hear, these opposite words or the ideas are used. These apparently self-contradictory and absurd ideas are used there. Then the next example, vision is the art of seeing things invisible. Vision, that is the ability of seeing, and invisible means how it is possible. But vision is the art of seeing things invisible, means indirectly. When we are talking about a poet, we think that whatever the common people are not able to see, the poet is able to see beyond that. And this kind of vision the poet has got, and because of that, he can see the invisible things also. Because of that, vision is the art of seeing things invisible. So here also opposite ideas are shown there. At that time, it is called paradox. Have you understood? Okay. Then the next figure of which we are going to see here, oxymoron. Oxymoron, what is oxymoron? Here the contrast is sharper and the contradictory words are put as close together as possible. It is a kind of condensed paradox. Condensed means made short or shortened paradox is there. In a short form, the paradox is there. In the paradox, we have seen that the opposite words were coming at the beginning and at the end of the sentence. But here in the oxymoron, we find the words come one after another or as close together as possible. So we shall see the examples so that it will become the clear idea that is a wise fool. Fool means silly and wise. How wise man can be fool or how fool can be wise. But here wise fool it is shared there means two opposite words have come together. At that time it is called oxymoron. And one more thing is that wise fool has the deeper meaning also. Wise fool means the person who is wise, but the people who don't understand him, and because of that, he become a fool there. So the world has called him fool, but actually he is wise. Because of that, he is called wise fool. Then, take an example, an open secret. If secret is there, it cannot be open, and if it is open, it cannot be secret. But here, open secret, such kind of words are used there. It is also called oxymoron. Why? Because these opposite words have been put as close together as possible. Open cannot be secret, secret cannot be open. But when we go deeper, then we can have the meaning of that phrase here. The open secret means sometimes we are telling our friends that I tell you a secret, don't tell anybody, I tell only you. That is the secret told by you to your friend, but your friend is going to the another person and he tells the secret again there. I tell you, don't tell others. So this is how one by one the secret goes to every person. It may be secret, but it becomes open secret. So this is the deeper meaning of the phrase here. So open and secret, these are the opposite words, and they have been used here. At that time, it is called oxymoron. Then the next third example is there, a cheerful pessimist. Pessimist means the person who is always negative, and he is cheerful means he is happy. How can a pessimist cheerful? And how the pessimist can be cheerful, or how the cheerful person can be pessimist? So happy and pessimist cannot be together, but here opposite words are put as close together as possible. At that time, it is called oxymoron. Then the living death. Now here living and death. These opposite words, live and die, these opposite words are put as close together as possible, but it has deeper meaning also. Means the man who has great suffering in his life, beyond death also, that kind of suffering cannot be there. Such kind of suffering in his life is there, at that time the person, the poet can compare the man's life as a living dead there. So living and dead opposite words and they have come together. It may be called as oxymoron there. Then the next figure of speech is there. Bitter sweet memories. Here bitter and sweet memories. Bitter are there, how can they be sweet? And if sweet are there, how can they be better, bitter? But here bitter and sweet, they are used there. The opposite words are used there. At that time, it is called oxymoron. So this is what contradictory words are put as close together as possible, and it is a kind of condensed paradox. Then the next figure of which we are going to see here, epigram. This is a short, witty chain, often containing a paradoxical idea. Paradoxical means again opposite ideas or opposing ideas are there, and it is a short, witty chain. Witty means humorous or laughable saying is there. Saying you know that is you will find that such kind of witty chain often containing a paradoxical idea. At that time, it is called epigram. Now here, the child is the father of the man. Here you will find that when we try to guess the meaning of this sentence, how can a child be a father of a man? It is impossible. But when we go deeper and try to guess the meaning of this, then we can understand that the child is having that kind of capacity that the father is not having. At that time, such kind of child is said to be the father of the man. So it is epigram there. Then another example, a favorite has no friend. Suppose you take the example of Sachin Tendulkar. He is very favorite. But is he having a close friend? You will find that no. Because millions of fans or friends are there, how can Sachin make friends with anyone? Because he had all so many friends there, millions of friends there. So the favorite has no friend. Apparently, it looks absurd or it looks witty, but when you go deeper, you will find the meaning of that. Then the next example is the fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Fools people are running or going to the place where angels means wise people are fearing, having the fear to put a step there. Such kind of fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Sometimes you will find that the chilly people or the fool people, they are going to do such kind of many daring or adventurous things in their life. Here, the common people or here the people who are wise people, they cannot do it. Such kind of uh, witty chain is there. So it is also called epigram. Then the next, failures are the pillars of success. Failures means unsuccess, you will find. And it is the opposite of success, failure. So failures are the pillars of success. How can the failures be pillars of success? That is what you will find that when you fail first time, you try again. Second time you fail, but step by step you are going up and up, and what at one point you are reaching to the top of your goal. At that time you become successful. So failures are the pillars of success. Without failures, success cannot stand there. So here also, failures and success, such kind of opposite ideas, paradoxical ideas are used there, but at the same time, the it is witty saying there or laughable saying there, it is called epigram. Then the familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity breeds contempt here. Familiarity is there. Continuously we are close or we are coming in contact to the persons again and again. At that time, what happens? We are bored and tired of that person. Here, the meaning is there, but familiarity and content, these are the opposite words, and they are used, or opposite ideas are used here in this line. At that time, it is called epigram. Then the next figure of which we are going to see here, that is irony. Irony is here words are used with the opposite intention. We mean the opposite of what we say, and that intention is clear. Means what is our purpose of saying that is completely opposite. Suppose that we can take the example when somebody, some student come or any student comes at the door and he is standing at the door and asking the teacher, may I come in, sir? The student has already come late, but the teacher is saying like this, oh, come in, you are welcome. Means here the teacher want to say opposite what he intends to say. So intention is different and saying is different. Means quite opposite is said there. At that time it is called irony. Here the examples of irony are there. He left me to the tender mercies of my enemy. Here he led me to the tender mercies of my enemy. If enemies are there, tender mercies will not be there. Means opposite harsh or cruel mercy, cruel persons in the hands of the cruel person, the speaker has has been handed over. But here you will find that he led me to the tender mercies of my enemy. Tender mercies. It is not possible of an enemy, but here such kind of opposite ideas are enemies cannot be tender, enemies cannot be soft, but such words are used there at that time. It is opposite of that. The meaning is quite opposite of that. Second, I fear I wronged honorable men whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. Now here, honorable men, those persons who have used the daggers to stab Caesar, such kind of persons are honorable men. How can they be honorable? So here, honorable is the meaning of the that word is quite opposite. So such kind of opposite meaning is there in this line also. It is called irony. Then the third example is there no doubt, but ye are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. Here also you will find that wisdom shall die with you. Means the people or the public, they think themselves as wise. Means indirectly the speaker want to say that they are not wise, they are fool, they are silly. But he is saying that wisdom shall die with you. Means when the people die at that time, the wisdom on the earth or in the world, it will be also finished there. Such kind of idea is used by the poet here. Wisdom shall die with you. Actually, people are not wise and wisdom they are not having, but the poet is showing like this, saying like this. At that time it is also called irony here. Then the next figure of which we are going to see, that is pun. It is a play upon words. Here one word carries or expresses two meanings. One word is having two meanings. Just here we will find that one word carries or expresses two meanings. Carry has the different meaning also. Carry means I am carrying bag with me. It is the meaning there. Or the porter is carrying heavy load on his head. That is also the meaning there. So carry has the different meaning. Like this here, the one word and different meaning are there. Two meanings are there. At that time it is called fun. Is life worth living? It depends upon the liver. Is life worth living? It depends upon the liver. Here, liver has two meanings. Liver means the man who lives his life, who leads his life. He is also called liver. And the liver is a part of our body. Means liver has two meanings. So one is used in this sentence or in this line. Then the second example is there. An ambassador is an honest man who lies abroad for the good of his country. Now here the word who lies abroad, lies is the word that having that is having two meanings. Lie means just you are lying on the bed. It is one meaning. And lie means giving the false information or telling the false news, that kind of thing is there. It is lie has two meanings here. It is also called pun. So the word lie shows two meanings. At that time it is pun. Another example is there. A woman powders the face while a soldier faces the powder. Now here powders and powder. Powder is the word that is a woman powders the face, means the woman is using the talcum powder applying on her face to make her face beautiful. That is the different meaning. And a soldier faces the powder. Here powder means indirectly the soldier uses the gun, and in that gun the powder is there that is used. So powder has two meanings at that time. It is called pun. So here the one word that carries or expresses two meanings. It is called pun. Then today we are going to see the last figure of speech, metonymy. Metonymy, here you will find that this is when an object is named by a thing that accompanies it or is associated with it. An object is named by a thing that accompanies it or is associated with it. Means indirectly you will find that when we refer to the king, we refer to the crown because the crown is always on the head of the king. So poet is using crown instead of king. At that time it is called metonymy. Here the example is there. Pen is mightier than the sword. Means pen is associated or accompanying with the books, or with the pen we can write a book. And mightier than the sword, here sword referring to the battles. So instead of saying book are mightier than the swords or than the battles, the poet is using pen is mightier than the sword. Pen is accompanying the books and the sword is accompanying the battle. Such kind of words. Actually, books and battles should be used there, but instead of that, pen and sword are used there. At that time, it is called metonymy. Then another example is there, from the cradle to the grave. Cradle here, that is the here the baby or the newborn child is lying there or sleeping there. That is the place cradle is there. Means cradle refers to the birth, and grave here the man is buried or where the last rites are performed of the man. This grave place is called grave. So grave is referring to the death. So cradle accompanies the birth and grave accompanies death. So poet is not using like this, from the death, from the birth to the grave, the from the birth to the death, the poet is using like this, from the cradle to the grave. So cradle and grave, these words are used there. At that time, it is they are accompanying with the others. Actually, birth and death should be used there, but instead of that, cradle and grave are used there. At that time, it is called metonymy. Then next figure of speech, sorry. Then the next example is there, the bench for judges. Here, bench is used for judges. Bench means it is a group of people, but bench is used for judges because judges are always sitting on the bench or they are accompanying or associated with the bench, and because of that, judges are called bench or bench is called judges. Judges are not used there. Instead of that, the bench is used there. At that time, it is called metonymy. Then, red coats for British soldiers. British soldiers are always wearing the red coats, and because of referring to the soldiers, the poet is using red coats. So instead of saying soldiers, the red coats of are is shown there. At that time, it is called metonymy. Then the last example of this metonymy is the crown for the king. Here, crown is associated with the king. King always wears crown on his head. So here crown is used for the king. At that time, crown instead of saying king, crown is showed there. At that time, it is the figure of speech that is metonymy is used there. So metonymy, this is when an object is named by a thing that accompanies or is associated with it. So in this part, first part of the figures of speech, we have learned 13 figure of speech. The remaining figure of speech, we are going to learn the second part. So let's stop here. Have a good day.